Marketing Dividends, presented by the Australian Association of National Advertisers, inspiring responsible, innovative and respected marketing.
Now to Marketing Dividends, where we take a look at the business challenges facing Australia's leading advertisers. And James Hier, who's CEO of MEC, is here with me in studio, and also with today's guests, Sherilyn Shackell. She's the founder of the Marketing Academy. Sherilyn, welcome to the program. Welcome to you as well, James. 2 years after the GFC, when clearly a lot of brands and businesses were in crisis, you launched the Marketing Academy. So why was then the right time to do it?
Well, I think it was the perfect time to do it, although many people thought I was slightly insane, because I knew that that recession was in to stay. We'd had 2 recessions that I'd run a company from previously, and it just felt like that was going to be a really big one. And I'm of the belief, was then, am now, that the way to make a really big difference is to invest in marketing, media and communications. I think it can change the world. I think it can impact on consumers, and it can definitely impact on the success of businesses. And I just believe that people hearing that story came along with it and supported it.
And just to rewind slightly, briefly, what exactly does the Marketing Academy do?
We run programs to develop talent within marketing, media and communications, and we invest in them from a leadership perspective in order that they can be the absolute best they can possibly be.
Australian marketers didn't get that same torture test of the GFC that the UK and the US faced. Do we need something similar to accelerate our marketing program?
Well, I think the recession really did kickstart some innovation in the UK and probably did exactly the same in the US. But to be honest, I think that it's a mindset, and Australia actually does have quite a brave mindset. I just think that they need to be taking risks, investing more in their talent, investing more in their innovation, and just taking a few more risks. If you have a challenger mentality, then I don't think you need a huge external impetus. If you're constantly thinking we need to be better, then I think you can make a difference.
So without this challenge, how do you convince companies here that they need to invest in it? They haven't had that same pressure that the UK were obviously exposed to.
Well, I think they are starting to get some pressure down here. I mean, I've been coming down now for 3 years. We've had the Marketing Academy in Australia for 3 years, and I can see it shifting slightly even over the last year or so. And I think that there is competition coming into the markets, much more so here now. I think that the things that are happening in Asia are having an impact down here now. But I honestly think, as I said, that if corporate Australia thinks like a challenger, then their results will be uplifted without a shadow of a doubt, because they will start becoming faster, sharper, better, leaner, doing things differently. And I think that's a mindset. It doesn't need to be caused necessarily by something outside of them.
So is that mindset the real gap when it comes to marketing capability?
It's not the only gap.
Okay.
It isn't the only gap. I mean, I've always believed that customers should be in the heart of the boardroom. And unfortunately, that just isn't the case. Not widely, and not widely enough. But it is the difference. In my view, marketing, media and advertising can transform the performance of a company. It's just not often discussed in the centre of the heart.
That sounds so counterintuitive.
In what way?
You know, that it's not discussed in the boardroom or taken seriously in the boardroom. I mean,
because there's other pressures that the boardroom's got to look at, and that's the role of the CEO. My view is that customers should be right at the heart of the boardroom. But the truth of the matter is, the function that owns the heart and soul of the customer is marketing. And across the world, there are the fewest CMOs that become CEOs than any other function. So if your CMO doesn't have a seat at that table, then how can the customer really, truly have a seat at that table? And we want to help to bridge the gap between the CMOs and the boards by investing in the talent that's coming through the function and the industry.
So what skills really need to be specifically invested in?
Leadership is really important. So is stakeholder influencing. So is understanding the language, the different language that's spoken between the different functions at a boardroom. CMOs need to be passionate advocates of their customers and listened to and heard in the boardroom. And in my view, the most successful companies out there at the moment do have customer at the centre of what they're doing.
So you've talked about a number of the challenges that marketers have at a board level, one of them being language. What are the others that marketers are facing that is not allowing them to access the boardroom more readily?
Because there's a mindset that seat at the table should be deserved by the CFO, by the CEO, and the CFOs tend to be the ones that are in the boardroom, the CMOs not. But we are starting to see a big shift in that. I mean, in the UK, we've got a number of our blue chip companies in the UK that are run by CEOs who have been marketers. Tesco has a former Unilever marketer, British Telecom has a former P&G marketer. So I think there is a shift. But historically, in the UK, only 4 out of the FTSE 100 companies have had a CMO on their boards. And quite recently, I saw some research that came out of the States that said that there's a 15% uplift in performance of a company that has a CMO to a company that doesn't.
That's incredible.
Oh, what a return on investment that is.
And is that why McKinsey's now at the table? I mean, they're absolutely notorious for their commercial bent. They're very interested in the C-suite.
Yeah.
What are they doing in the marketer's play pit now? Where do they see their advantage?
So McKinsey support us in developing the CMOs that we have on our fellowship programme. We've got 67 CMOs that have been through a fellowship programme, which is aimed to enable them to be uplifted to a CEO role. And McKinsey, I think, believe the same as we do, that marketing going forward into the future, marketing will be the difference between the companies that really thrive and the companies that don't. So investing in the CMO for an organisation like McKinsey is investing in the future of their client organisations. Without a doubt, there will be CEOs in the future that have come out of the marketing function than ever before. As is right. That's exactly as it should be.
And customer at the heart, a lot of companies say this, and culture's the other piece that you've talked about significantly as playing an important role. We tend to hold up the Silicon Valley as the epicenter. How you
not
how you
so
build
much
culture.
anymore.
Well, exactly, and that's my question. You know, is it something that's just said but not really acted upon, and how does that really influence company results?
Well, it's my view that culture comes before strategy every time. Culture is the way in which your company does business. It's about its people. It's about the beliefs that the company hold and the behaviour that the company exhibits. And I believe that customers are now so close to seeing how companies behave that they're being held to account much more by their customers. So culture is absolutely key. And if as well you have customer and employee people at the heart of your culture, you can't fail to do brilliantly. In the UK, there's a company that does it, I think, for me personally, the best, is John Lewis. It's a relatively small retailer when you compare them to Walmart, for example. But in John Lewis, they've done some research that says if you walk into a John Lewis store and you're a customer, your heart rate will go down and your blood pressure will go down because you feel like you're at home, you feel like you're in the home. So their customers are avid, rabid fans. You don't just like John Lewis, you love John Lewis. And they put customer at the centre of every decision they make, and they're a partnership, so the people who work for them are just as important. And you can see it in everything they do. And they are leading the world in creative marketing also, and have just put their CMO on the board.
Interesting.
So that's a company that does it all for me.
This topic of conversation about culture is very interesting, considering we have this banking inquiry picking up here in Australia tomorrow, where corporate culture, is pulling a lot of the focus. But you have graduates from the Marketing Academy, both in the UK and now in here in Australia as well, the past couple of years. So give us a report card then, if it's an academy.
Well, there's 300 of them, just over 300 of them, so I can't tell you about all of them. But, and I am such a proud here, I could talk about them forever. But we have had some amazing success stories. So we've had from our fellowship programme, which is the CMO programme, we've had 5 CEO appointments from those, which clearly we're taking all the credit for. But that is the intention of that. And then for the scholarship, which is the emerging leaders, so they're between the ages of 30 and 40, we've had over 16 marketing director appointments out of that. We've had over 10% of them have gone on to start their own businesses, so they've become entrepreneurs, which we're thrilled at, because that's just about investing in all sorts of different industries. Well, very recently, one of my alumni just brought out a book, is a published author, just brought out a book on personal development. And that's about having our leaders developing other leaders, which is what we teach, really. Leadership we over-index on, because if they can be the most inspiring leaders, if they can focus on developing others rather than taking glory for them, then they'll be doing really, really well. And they are the future of our industry and boardrooms of the future. So that's where we invest our time. I'm proud of all of them.
As part of that personal development book, Learning to Code, you've said that that's a necessarily skill that all marketers should pick up. coded for 6 years. I know what it's done for me. I'm not too sure what it'll be for someone who's just going to do it as a hobby.
Well, look, I think that technology is so vital that the whole marketing remit is beginning to grow out of all proportion, both data and technology, absolutely essential. But I think that learning to code, what that does for marketeers is it exercises different muscles in their brains. And there's a left brain and a right brain, and to find a combination of the two within marketers is harder. And yet there's such a big emphasis on data, technology, as well as creativity, that we should be encouraging them to flex the entire brain muscle rather than just one side of it. And I think coding helps with that.
I'm curious, because this brings up a conversation I had with somebody over the weekend. I mean, is it difficult to find those people who are interested in that at all, and therefore, you know, difficult for businesses to find those marketers?
No, I don't think it's difficult to get people interested. I think it's difficult to find people that have that bandwidth. Yeah. The role of the marketeer is growing disproportionately than any other function. It's becoming so much more business critical. It is invasive, so it touches every single part of the organisation. And to be able to have the thinking that covers all of that is hard to find. And that whole blend of left brain and right brain thinking, that's a difficult thing to find. But that's where the marketeers of the future are going to need to develop the skill set.
You've been back and forth 3 times. What are the skills that Australia can onboard to leapfrog its competitors and make sure that our marketing doesn't need to go through a recession to actually get ahead?
Be brave. Be brave, take some risks, and really invest in the function, invest in your people. I think that's first and foremost. If you can ensure your people are exceptional human beings and that they are performing at the absolute top of their capability, then you can't fail. So investing in your people, investing in the function, bringing in expertise from outside when you need it, sending your people overseas to go and find where the new stuff is and bringing it back into the country, and then investing in leadership so that your people are developing the people around them. Leadership is about developing others, and if your marketeers are doing that, then they're just ripple affecting the power of what this function can do for businesses.
Do you see marketing splintering in any way? I mean, there's so much that you're saying as part of their remit. Is there a time at which we're going to split apart the data, digital, the customer side versus the other side that they need to be looking at of what used to be thought of as marketing with the communications and the like?
I think it's all as important. I just think that the whole remit of the marketers will include all of it. So the functions will get bigger, without a doubt. They'll be gaining more traction from other functions in the business. So their remits are going to get wider and wider, and the skill set needs to be matched to that.
And you've got to evolve. What has changed in the Marketing Academy, and where do you see the Academy going?
Well, we'll take over the world. So within the next 18 months, we'll be opening in the US and in the Middle East. So, I'm so convinced that it's that powerful a driver. It is the growth engine. If the boards can be convinced to invest in the function, it is the growth engine. And I think every country needs that. Every country's got great talent. I just think that we need to bridge the gap between the talent and the guys at the top, and that's what the Marketing Academy does. So taking it out internationally, I think, is really important. And then there's a little nugget of me that thinks that what we should be doing also is running a programme for CFOs about marketing. I think that would just be amazing. So bridging the gap from the other side and teaching non-marketers what the power of this function really is, I think, would be a great evolution of what we do.
Well, I'm sold. Thank you. Thank you for coming in. It's been a pleasure having you in. Sherilyn Shackell, she's a founder of the Marketing Academy, and also, of course, James Hier from MEC. That's it for Marketing Dividends this time around. We will be back, though, after the break. We'll take a deeper dive into the equity markets. We'll find out what Julia Lee is watching as we head toward the close of what's a very positive session overall. Back in a moment.
Marketing Dividends, presented by the Australian Association of National Advertisers, inspiring responsible, innovative and respected marketing.